Here I'm going to do another video. Now, I wanted to say with an update, politically I am still a staunch Vermin Supreme supporter. However, I've been recently reading different kinds of media, not the far-left alternative press, not the Progressive or the Nation, but actual, more like two-way balanced alternative media, such as there are a couple of alternative magazines that give a more detailed description, but it's not completely slanted to the far left. So I've been looking at it and also been talking to Ari Neiman, this fellow autistic advocate who really wants to get rid of ABA, and he's a Hillary supporter. Now, I don't support Hillary Clinton yet, at least. I might, but if she has done anything awful, if she has, I do not condone anything bad. I have heard some evidence that her child killing, starting a war in Central America, might have been a myth that the far left accused her of. I need to do more research before I determine whether or not that's true. It looks possibly like it could be bad, and it could, well, not bad. Well, if it's bad if she did it, but it looks like she might not have done it. Also, the far left accusing her of being largely in charge of Walmart and of doing really bad stuff to the environment. Some of that, looks like it might be exaggerated. I had the feeling that her being really that much behind Walmart sounds like a conspiracy theory, so it seems like it is, according to this not so far left, but, much more not far right either media. So, also, I may end up voting for her, and although I still have, I have to see whether or not, she is really, not that better than Trump. As it is, I'm still not voting for her. I'm still voting for Vermin, because even if, Vermin doesn't make it to this election, which he probably won't, voting for a third-party candidate, in an election before, he gets voted in there, I've heard it does add points to them for the next election. So I'm still with the independent third-party Vermin-supporting campaign. One third-party candidate I have to say that I do not support. I do not like her. I think Jill Stein, the Green Party as a whole, I think is great, because it's a whole political, party dedicated to saving the earth. In some ways, it's a furry and Therian political party. So I even wouldn't be surprised if some of the candidates weren't, actually kin or Therians or furries themselves. It could happen, and some might just be that way in hiding. But Jill Stein, due to my research in the autistic community, there's some info that, she, in many ways, is against certain kinds of modern medicine, and not only that, but is against, what Vermin Supreme fights for, time travel, and doing stuff to make sure that everybody gets their childhood dreams at the age of 5 or earlier. So Jill Stein is firmly in the camp of accept what you don't have, let the past go, live in the moment, which I really do not agree with, as you have seen from my earlier videos. And it looks like Jill Stein is also in support of ABA and forcing it on us in the autistic community to force normalization of it. One of my biggest beefs with the alternative press is that they, when they talk about issues like, only a small minority know the right way to help the poor, the right way to save the earth, the right way to make peace and, end bigotry. And in order to do that, you have to basically behave better than even the majority of people, which that is and the way they sometimes attack the autistic community and a lot of autistic people for our more balanced and less one-way political views or views on economics, our love of cartoons and of Disney and of toys that might not be, fair trade or sustainable, but, have the real potential to be that way. And, meat, of course, that too. They're often, if they're not vegan, a lot of them are just as militantly flexitarian, which is eat meat but less of it. A lot of people don't know that. It's not just the vegans and vegetarians who are militant in their views. It's the flexitarians who are often just as militant, if not more, than the vegans and vegetarians, and there are a lot of them on the far left. So I really don't want, Like I've said before, I do not want that to be the only way to save the world. And given how people like Temple Grandin and Stephen Shore and Ari Neiman have said that, a lot of us autistics, we're naturally born with an instinct to want a more balanced two-way viewpoint on issues like that. So if ABA wants to force a one-way behavioral approach to global issues and social activism on us, then that's just going to hurt the world, and it's going to make the world a more behavioral place, and it's going to make ABA even more popular than it is now. And currently, in this civilized, behavior-based society, it is extremely popular and considered completely acceptable and considered the best, which it is not. So, the fact that the alternative press wants us to do that and often has that attitude toward us is really scary, because even though they might not be completely for ABA, or they might not say so, but some of them do say that they are, like Jill Stein, that is basically just more sanctioned behaviorism. So it's more knowing better, than everybody else and being proud of it. That's why I have this saying, I don't take no better for an answer. Of course, if people are sometimes being jerks, I know better than them to not be a jerk. But, this is what I'm talking about, is the whole alternative press, saying that, the way to save the world, like I've said before, is to know better about issues that, you're not even knowing better about them. So, Jill Stein, sadly, has a lot of those views. Vermin Supreme, on the other hand, doesn't. He seems almost autistic himself, like he could easily be one. He's very nerdy and geeky, so, and because it almost seems like in the third party, he is sort of like on an opposite extreme that Jill Stein is. So, as much as this is a democracy, everybody has the right to vote for who they want, even Trump, because that's only fair. Even though I completely hate Trump and I'm totally against him, I think he's a total Decepticon version of George W. Bush. He's a monster. But the thing is that two people that I really advise all my followers to not vote for would be Trump, obviously, because it's pretty much common knowledge about how much of a monster he is. And also, please don't vote for Jill Stein. There are plenty of other Green Party candidates that are much better than her, that are really cool. So any of those you could look up and, do the research as to whether or not they support ABA and the forced normalization of autistics, or whether they don't. Because if they don't, then they're really cool. And I ask that you either support Hillary or Vermin. Again, I still have a feeling that Hillary's kind of a jerk, but I will have to do more research from all these different articles. I'm going to try to, and if I end up voting for her, I'll let everybody know, and that would only, however, be after a thorough load of research towards her. If she has done anything awful enough for me to not vote for her, I won't. And as it stands, I still have a feeling that she's kind of a evil clown, and probably is. She does have some redeeming aspects, though. I'll discuss them after I'm done with this rant. But as of now, I feel like she isn't redeemed enough to be a leader of a country. One thing that I have found out about her that I think is good is, according to Ari Neiman and to some other autistics, she does support the disabled, and she's part of the disability rights movement. That is good, even if it ends up that she has, contributed to the deaths of Central American children and supports fracking, and, I'm pretty sure that she probably does in many ways support unfair trade and destruction of the environment, and, because she has to. She's a mainstream career politician. The politicians who really don't support that are the third-party candidates that I'm still going to raise a campaign for Vermin. I hope as many of you can vote for either Vermin or, a good Green Party candidate who does not support ABA or, leaving stuff in the past, but does support time travel or things like it. However, I can't say that I support Hillary yet. However, if somebody needs to vote for one of the main parties, then vote for her over Trump. Now, I'm not endorsing Hillary yet, not until I've read more about her. But the thing is that I'm going to do what I can to get as many of people who watch these videos to vote for Vermin in this election, and try to get enough people to support him so that in 2020 he'll have enough votes to actually really have a chance to win. I'm aiming for Vermin 2020. Now, if people are a little off put by his name Vermin, you need to remember that he is not bad. His name is kind of a geeky name. You have a lot of geeks who have names that might not be understood. It's like how I painted a black heart on my upper arm, and I was explaining how a black heart isn't an evil heart because in my some of my other videos I've said how black is an evil, colors don't know right from wrong. Similar, it seems, with Vermin's name. And in regards to vermin, you got to remember that a lot of animals classified by many as vermin don't have to be and often aren't, such as rats. People call rats vermin because they carry the plague and other diseases. Wild rats can, although still that's no reason to go killing them unless you have to in self-defense or in defense of, a community. However, pet rats are not dirty. They don't carry the plague. They're no more dirty than a person or a dog or a cat, and they're really, sweet. So, plus a lot of predatory animals like foxes, weasels, minks, fishers, raccoons, those are considered vermin, but they're really cool. They're cute, they're awesome. There are a lot of furries are, and other canidarians are, part those creatures. I am, because I am all those creatures who have tails. And yeah, so the name vermin is kind of misunderstood too. So, if the more balanced, the alternative press that is not completely far left, but that has a more nuanced view, seems to be saying that the child murder and the warmongering and some of the environmental destruction isn't really that much of it with Hillary. Now, if she has done it, then it does not mean that it's okay. However, if she hasn't done it, then I might end up voting for her. But if I do, if my research says that she's really the best, I will let everybody know and post a video that has the updated information. So, what I was going to say is that with this disability campaign, Hillary is really cool for actually helping the differently abled. Now, on the chance that she has done anything horrible, her bad deeds are not excused. However, if she's done good deeds, which it looks like she has, then even if she's done really awful deeds, that does not cancel out her good deeds, because good things done are good things done, even if the person is extremely horrible, even if they're a mass murderer. If they've done good things that really have helped others, then it does not excuse their mass murder, but it does, the good things should be commended, because good stuff done is good stuff done. So, anyway, well, that was what I was going to say about politics. And so some of the, I'm looking at some of these news sources that are a little more balanced, and some of them that I've seen are the organization Represent Us, Forward Progressives, the BBC, and I got to look at some of this Canadian media. But I'll let you know whether or not I change my political stance for who I'm voting for. As of now, I'm still a staunch vermin supporter.